Cucumbers with Anxiety. Chapter 4. Is my couch okay? I hollered into my house as I walked through the front door. A furious patter of tiny paws on wooden floors came as a response. He barked excitedly when he saw me and vertically ran up my body into my arms. He attacked me from all sides with licks, and all I could do was duck and dodge while laughing. Okay, relax. I tried calming him by squeezing him to my chest, which seemed to work. He is a boy after all. I walked into the living room. Well, my couch seemed to survive. That's a good doggo. I think you deserve a little treat for that one, I said, and he barked excitedly. I guess the word treat is understandable in every language. I walked into the kitchen and placed down the shopping bag on the counter. Well, I hope you like chocolate, 'cause I got you some chocolate-flavored treats. Bark! That was my first question too, but don't worry. There isn't actually any chocolate in there, just some flavoring. Next best thing, right? I opened the box and flicked a dark bone-shaped treat into the air. He lunged upwards and caught it between his eager teeth. I relished in the happy crunching sounds echoing in the kitchen. Bark! Nope, you only get one. But I'm glad you liked it. At least we have some common ground. Our love of chocolate. Let's bond over it. Although, chocolate flavored isn't exactly a legally binding term, now is it? Who knows how close to actual chocolate it really tastes? Bark! What? There's no way I'm tasting one. That's a crazy suggestion. Bark! Well, you make a good point. I'll try one, I said. I fished one out of the box and hesitantly put it in my mouth. Tentative crunching sounds filled the air, followed by assured crunching sounds. Not bad, I must say. I mean, I won't be lunging in the air to catch one in my teeth, but they're not bad. Definitely taste towards something like chocolate. I finished up the treat and let him lick the crumbs off my fingers. Aren't you eager? You can't be hungry, you still have food. I glanced over to his bowl. Apparently he doesn't. Wow, you finished all of it? Maybe this monstrous bag won't feed all of your descendants after all. Now that I think about it, perhaps I shouldn't fill it up again. Maybe, just maybe, if I feed you less, you'll stay this small forever. I voiced my selfish thought. Bark! You're right, that was a horrible thing to say. I'm sorry. It's a very human thing. We're willing to destroy things so that we can keep them to ourselves. It's like how we pick flowers, effectively killing them, just so that we can enjoy their beauty in the comfort of our own home. Speaking of comfort, I said while walking into the living room. I sank into the couch, which accepted my butt graciously. I put the pup down and he sniffed my shoes, then proceeded to explore the house again, even though the house should be thoroughly explored by now. Maybe the smell of things changes overnight? Every now and then he would come running back into the room to check if I was still there. We'll have to talk about his abandonment issues at some point. You know, I've heard a scandalous rumor that dogs can't perceive time. Is that true? Bark! He answered from the other room. Ah, must be an old wives' tale then. I'm glad to hear you can't perceive time. It's horrible not being able to perceive time. All the days blend together in a seamless mess. Nothing sticks out because nothing matters, and you don't even feel yourself slipping away. You don't ever feel that way, do you, little doggo? Bark! I'm glad. I'll try my best to keep it that way with full dog bowls and chocolate-flavored treats. For the moment, however, I need to take a nap after the exhaustive activity of being social for a few hours. I laid down my head on the far side of the couch and immediately felt myself drifting away. Maybe we'll get you a toy or something, I whispered more to myself as I stared at the seamless mess that is my ceiling. My eyelids grew heavy, and I don't even remember them closing. But the next moment there was a black nose in my face. No, puppy love, I'm trying to sleep, I said, and I tried to bat him away. He responded by lightly biting my fingers until I gave up. Then he responded with licking my cheek. Fine, I barked at him. I wish I had the defensive covers to protect against the onslaught of cuteness, but I don't. I sat upright instead, and he stared at me, as if attentively guarding me against my own sleep. I stared at him for a few seconds to see if he would drop his guard. He did not. So I got up instead. I almost forgot that there was another half to the living room. I'm in the living room almost half of my life, but I don't think I've stepped into the back half in the last 6 months. It was cold, dark, and dusty everywhere. The back of my couch leaned against the desk, tilted up by 30 degrees to be the perfect drawing board. The desk had about 900 drawers, each to house the perfect weapon for any occasion. I traced the surface of the drawing board with my fingers. How familiar, yet distant. My half-full sketchbook sat neatly to one side. Another person left it there a lifetime ago. The thick brown leather binding embossed with shapes of a pencil and a feather. I sat down into the cold, thick green seat. It did not swallow me as the couch did. It was not chosen for lax comfort, but rigid purpose. This was where I was going to create my masterpiece. In this seat, on this desk, in this sketchbook, I was going to create something magical. I was going to write and illustrate a children's story that would capture the wistful imaginations of young ones everywhere. The images were going to be vibrant, the characters endearing, the atmosphere mesmerizing. A true escape from the real world. I still wonder who was trying to escape the real world. I had worked hours every day whenever I could spare a moment. I had drawn characters over and over 1,000 times, trying to strike the perfect balance between silly yet relatable. I had come up with stories, stringing them together, teaching lessons and exploring ideas. But it was never good enough. I wanted them to have heart, to have soul. I wanted to translate my wondrous ideas to the page. But somewhere between my mind and my hand, the iridescent grew dull. Every time I had finished writing one, I looked back on it and I couldn't help but hate it. I couldn't have put it out to the world and say I was proud of it. The few I wasn't utterly ashamed of had gotten shot down by publishers, which only made me grip my pencil tighter. Giving up was never an option, never even a consideration. I would keep on going, keep on drawing, keep on writing, because in the end, I hadn't been doing it for anybody but myself. I would have loved it if others could enjoy it with me, but even if they never would, that'd be fine. I had been doing it for me, and for that reason I would never stop. Until I did. Life got in the way. I faded from it, faded from my dreams, faded from the colors of worlds, artificial and actual alike. A thud echoed through the room as I opened my sketchbook. The thick, grainy white pages ogled me expectantly. I opened up the tiny top drawer on my right. I'm feeling felt pens. I only need 2 colors, black and red. I closed the drawer and pushed the black pen to paper. No pencils this time, no erasing, no mistakes. My hand veered wildly over the page, creating wild but certain strokes. Continuous sharp turns eventually turned into a wing askew. This is where the red comes in. I traced the disconnect with the red so that it peeks through the black. Then I returned the red pen to the drawer. That's all I need from it. I took the black pen and wrote the title at the bottom. The Raven with the Broken Wing. I threw the pen across the room involuntarily as the doorbell rang. I suddenly became aware of my surroundings once again. The room was dark. The light outside was pale grey. The sun had set probably an hour ago. I didn't even notice my eyes straining in the dark. I looked down at the scratchy drawing of a raven in all its glory. The face looked lifelike, yet solemn. One wing was bent downward, and the other was brought from the side to cover it in shame. The raven's eyes were cast down, not in sadness, but in dismay. I never drew like this, so harsh and so wild, yet I saw the meaning clear as day in the image. The fictitious raven's state of mind captured perfectly in a two-dimensional slice. How did I do that? The doorbell rang again. Well, 3 guesses who that could be. I opened the door about a minute later. You ready? Alex asked before his eyes scanned my body and he deflated. You're not wearing the dress. I already told you there's no way in hell I'm wearing that dress. I barely decided I'll go out with you, and you should count your blessings for that, I replied staunchly. Please wear the dress, he asked and tried to do puppy eyes. He can't do puppy eyes though. He rather looked like something cold was sliding down his back and he was trying to hide it. Some pieces in my mind fell into place. Fine, I'll wear the dress. But then, you have to do something for me in return. I can't believe I'm doing this. For that dress, I'll do whatever you say, he perked up. I'll wear the dress, but then you have to accompany me to a wedding, I proposed. I expected an instant answer. A wedding? Free food and drink and fun? Only an insane person wouldn't jump at the opportunity. Which confirms my theory that Alex is insane, because he seemed to seriously consider it for quite a number of seconds. Not the biggest proponent of weddings, but if it'll get you in that dress, I'll go with you. Hell, as a bonus, I'll tell everyone we're dating and that you're a ferocious lover. Please don't do any of that, I said, but I'm scared he didn't hear me, because he was already passing me and heading upstairs. I tried following as fast as I could, but he almost flew to the 2nd floor. I found him in my room, holding out the sinful dress to me with a diabolical smile. I reluctantly took the dress off the hanger. He leaned his back against my closet and watched me. I paused. Do you mind? Not at all, he replied. Leave the room this instant or I'll punch you? I clarified. Alex looked like he solved the world's greatest mystery for a second. Oh, right, he muttered and headed outside. And don't sit on my couch! I yelled after him and slammed the door. He didn't reply. He's probably already sitting on my couch. I can feel it cry for help. I put it out of my mind as I shed my clothes onto a pile on the floor. I pulled on the dress, but it sat so tight I felt more like I was spraying it on. I closed my eyes in prayer as I zipped up the side. But amazingly, it fit. Say what you will, but living off cereal actually keeps you quite thin. I should write a dietary book. Do you want to be thin? Do you want to be incredibly unhealthy and almost pass out if you get out of a chair too quickly? Well then, follow this one easy step. Be too lazy to make proper meals. I'd make millions of enemies. The dress clung to me like the stench of a harlot as I did a little spin in front of the mirror. Are you sitting on my couch? I yelled as I came down the stairs. Yeah, he replied. I expressly told you to not sit on my couch, I gritted. Yeah, I heard, he muttered, and I wanted to punch him. He finds it unsettlingly easy to shrug off whatever you say. His eyes were already taking in my full figure. From the black heels I hastily pulled on, to where the dress ended much too soon halfway up my torso. You actually look quite nice, he said, and I snorted. I look easier than a first-grade maths test. Yes, that's true. In the sense that I would do you on a deck. Can we go already? I dutifully interrupted him. Yes, he exclaimed and opened my front door for me. Miss Slutty, he said with a gesture of his hand as I passed. I punched him in the stomach. He was still coughing as he closed the door behind himself. Where are we going? I asked as multiple scenarios of what this night might entail played out in my head, none of which I was excited for. To a nightclub. I got in his car, which had thankfully been washed inside and out. Not a terribly ugly car now that I was seeing it in bad light, but still a car I would expect a teenager to deliver pizzas with. I fastened my seatbelt and gave it a few hard tugs to make sure it was secure, remembering Alex's way of driving because of the nightmares. We shot off in the direction of the city. My mind wandered as my vision glazed over. Why did I agree to this? I hate nightclubs. I can't find what I'm looking for in a nightclub. Well, that's not fair. I don't know what I'm looking for, so it might be a bit bold to assume that it can't be found at a nightclub. Although, I'm pretty sure that whatever I can find at a nightclub won't be what I'm looking for. So, I guess I'll figure out what I'm looking for by going to places where I'm sure what I'm looking for can't be found and narrow it down by process of elimination. Because that doesn't sound stupid. I mean, I'm not looking to meet someone, potential love interest or otherwise. I'm not hoping to run into an old friend because their lives would probably be in a much better place than mine, and I would have to come up with some excuse as to why I'm not in the same place. The only potential scenario that didn't make me wince was perhaps getting into Alex's head a little, finding out what makes him tick. Here we are, Alex announced as we turned into the driveway. Woohoo! He called once more as a car pulled out of a parking spot right in front of the entrance, resulting in the only open parking spot as far as my eyes could see. Does this happen to you all the time? Is this just how your life is? I asked as we came to a stop. Well, what do you mean exactly? He replied, concentrating on not scraping his way into the parking space, though probably more for others' benefit than his own. Do parking spots just open up for you whenever you arrive at places? Do small things just always work out for you? I said, and Alex considered this for a second as we got out of the car. Kinda, yeah. Little things always seem to go my way. Once, I picked up a tenner, bought a scratch card with it, and won $1,000. Wow, really? Really? I bought ice cream with it. With the entire $1,000. Yep. You spent an entire $1,000 on ice cream. Not all at once. I was torn between using the tenner for ice cream and buying a scratch card with it. Then I thought, hang on a second. If I win money with a scratch card, I could buy even more ice cream. So, when I won the $1,000, I kind of felt obligated to spend it on ice cream. That's what it was for. I thought if I spent it on something else, then God would strike me down or something. Perhaps I don't want to get inside Alex's head after all. What the hell is wrong with you? I asked. I'm not actually sure, he replied sincerely. We crossed a threshold into the nightclub and the music came out of nowhere. I was sure it would cause internal hemorrhaging if one was exposed to it for extended periods of time. I braced myself for the dirty looks as the general public saw me in this dress, but my fear vanished instantly. This wasn't the general public after all. In fact, it was closer to the scantily dressed public. I felt like a nun compared to some of the girls surrounding me. Shorts so short they seemed more like belts. Heels taller than their legs. Tops that could be found in the clothing section labeled, "Why bother?" I suddenly felt quite comfortable in my dress. I felt like I was dressed for a ball at the Imperial King's palace. Small circular tables were littered around the outskirts of the club, while the center was a large dance floor. People's heads bounced to the music, though the speakers were so powerful I'm not entirely sure the movement was voluntary. Alex led me by the hand to the only open table at the club. He made a gesture of downing a drink, then disappeared. I assumed it meant he was going to fetch us drinks. I mean, it could also have meant that he was off to pursue his dreams of performing a sword-swallowing magic trick, but I hope it was the former. Damn, this meant that I'm going to have to sit here alone looking like an idiot, doesn't it? I hate sitting alone. I try to seem busy by taking out my phone and just staring at it, pretending that oh wait, I've already told you this. The true wizardry of nightclubs is how they manage to have lights everywhere, yet the nightclub remains dark. There were lights of all the colors of the rainbow, provided you only look at rainbows while on an acid trip. "Do you actually like coming here?" I asked as Alex placed a beer in front of me. "The music is so loud you can't even hear people talking." Alex leaned forward, turning his ear toward me. "What?" he yelled in response. I sighed and leaned forward. "I said—" "I'm kidding, I heard you," Alex replied with a smirk. "I don't know. This isn't exactly my favorite place in the world, but it's not that bad." "A bunch of people using the magic liquid to get rid of some constricting inhibitions," he muttered. Even his mutters were cutting through the music with ease, whereas I had to yell just to be barely audible. "Oh, now I get it. You just want some unfortunate girl to go home with you, is that it?" I screamed. "First of all, fortunate girl. Second of all, I can't just abscond with some lucky lady. How will you get home?" He conveyed at a comfortable volume. "Trust me, I'll walk. Though it's quite a way, so I should probably get started," I shouted and gripped my purse. "No," Alex pontificated with ease as he chuckled. "I'm not here to take a girl home, okay? Although, I wouldn't mind meeting someone." "What? Here? This is the place you come to meet someone?" "Good a place as any," he replied. "I don't think this is a place you come to meet someone, you know?" "How would you know?" Alex raised an eyebrow. "Well, I've never heard a how we met story starting with, well, we met at this nightclub one night." "Well, I've never heard a how we met story that I actually believed. Half of them met on the internet, the other half was only supposed to be a one-night stand that kinda lingered. I can guarantee you that." "You're very wrong." "Agree to disagree. Because you're wrong. Look, some girl in this nightclub who hates it here exactly as much as you do comes anyway because she's looking to meet a guy and she doesn't know where else to look. On the off chance that that is the case, I'll be here. Maybe that's her." He pointed to a group of girls and shot off towards them. As Alex sidled up to a blonde in a smooth white dress, it was fascinating to watch the reactions progress through the group like a wave. The blonde girl immediately smiled and turned towards him, inclining her face down to stare at him brightly. As a contrast, the rest of the group turned their shoulders and feet away from him while turning their noses up in disgust. If that wasn't enough, half of them gave a derisive eye roll. Alex immediately fell into intense conversation with her, gesturing with his hands as he spoke. She laughed at his words, brushed her hair behind her ear, and stared at him with eyes so green I could see them shining from here. Every time Alex leaned in a bit closer, she mirrored. "I want a documentary made about human mating rituals, and I want it entirely filmed in nightclubs." Alex suddenly went rigid, said something to the girl that seemed like a greeting, and hurried back to me. "She seemed nice." "Oh yeah, very friendly," he replied before taking a sip of his beer. "Then why did you leave?" "Well, that smile was telling me yes, but that wedding ring was telling me no." I nearly choked on my drink. "She's married? Are you serious?" "Well, either that or wearing wedding rings has become a fashion statement." "I can't believe it. I didn't know loyalty was so hard to find." "I never said she was disloyal," Alex replied simply. "She didn't cross any lines. She just enjoyed the attention. If you dress like that, you're gonna get plenty of it." "You don't know that she wouldn't have crossed any lines if given the opportunity." I took the last sip my beer could give. "Well, I do actually. Not the first time I've encountered this." "Have you tried chatting up unmarried women for a change?" I asked, and Alex chuckled. "Well, you can be involved with someone and not have any physical accessories to tip anyone off." "Well, true, but I still don't get it. What's the end game? So she would just string you along the entire night and then... what?" "And then nothing. She gets attention, compliments, and possibly free drinks for the entire night. And at the end of the night, she goes home and sleeps soundly with a clear conscience. Yeah, but the guy must be pretty pissed off when he thinks everything is going well and the girl suddenly drops the atomic reveal, or just ghosts him. Sure, it sucks. But the dating economy has its ups and downs. Sometimes you invest and it doesn't pan out. If you can't accept that, you'll never get anywhere. Not like the suppositional guy isn't pretending to some degree himself. Alex seemed to be thinking out loud just before tipping the remainder of his beer into his mouth. How's the guy pretending? I asked, fascinated by the transactional way Alex views human relations. Well, you don't just drop all your personal garbage when you meet someone, do you? You start with the best possible version of yourself, and sometimes even impossible. You always lure with the best colors you possess, he explained. And that's how you see flirting? Well, not just flirting. All of us put on a front when first meeting someone. There's such a drastic difference between people when you first meet them and once they're comfortable with you. I never got the point. I'm always the same person whether I just met you or I've known you since before I was born. I don't pretend I'm someone I'm not. Could you start? I prodded. Alex grinned in response, then laughed at me trying to take a victory sip from an empty bottle. Nah, I don't think I will. I'll go get us some refills, he said and disappeared. Some guy apparently saw this as his chance and he appeared at my side out of nowhere. Hi, he said as he set his elbow on the table. I grimaced, half because the table is wet and sticky, and half because I could see his scalp through all the hair product he forced into his short hair. Well, I assume his hair product. Could also have been glue. Yeah, I don't think so. The words bubbled out of my mouth before I could stop them. Do I want to stop them though? Perhaps Alex was right. Why pretend I'm something I'm not? Why pretend like I'm interested in any measure? Why put on a show when behind the curtain lurks a monster? I'm going to let this guy know up front who I am deep down. How about I buy you a drink? He said. He seemed to take my comment in stride, but his eyes flitted and I knew it landed. I'd rather just take the money. It's all in exchange, right? Why not cut through all the terms and conditions and get to the receipt? You know, I can make you very happy, he said after a pause. By leaving, I ended. My words dropped on him like an icy shower, and it showed. His smile flickered, then faltered. I witnessed a battle in his mind between trying once more and just leaving. A small part of his brain wanted to believe that I was joking. The small part of his brain did not win. His smile dropped completely, and he walked away. I immediately felt relieved to see him leave. After the relief washed away, I felt horrible. What the hell was I trying to achieve? I don't know, but I know what I did achieve. I might have just broken down a man completely who, for all I know, could have been a genuine sweetheart. He could have spent the entire night trying to muster up the courage to come up to me, and I rewarded him with scorn and fire. I'm not this person. I mean, I definitely have these thoughts, but I don't want to hurt someone with them. Maybe the darkness in me is a part of who I am, but isn't my desire to not let it out also a part of who I am? People are always keen to encourage someone being who they truly are. But which part of you are they referring to? Or do people who say that only consist of one part? All I know is that if I take Alex's advice on nearly anything, someone's probably going to get hurt. Where is that moron anyway? I glanced towards a bar to see him talking with a brunette, holding our drinks. It's no problem, him chatting up girls. But if it gets in the way of my social stamina juice, I'm going to make it a problem. I was just about to throw something at him when he suddenly pulled back from the girl in horror, then swiftly made his way to me. I accepted the drinks graciously and only spoke after a few indulgent sips. What happened there? I asked just before a burp that I concealed with my sleeve. People today, I swear, was his only reply. and it was a growl. Don't you mean kids? I asked. What do you mean? Well, she's a little young for you, isn't she? It's not the age that was a problem. Well, I'm just saying, you might have better luck with a girl that has had her first period. Alex scoffed. It's not that. It's a personality clash, okay? Something small but insurmountable. It will never work between us. Do tell, I replied, vaguely interested. Alex seemed to huff himself up while pointing at me. Right. I'll walk you through the conversation as it ended, okay? Sure. We were talking about the weather. Wow, really? Yes, not my choice. She brought it up. Literally the most boring conversation topic there is. She said she enjoys the rain but gets scared when there's thunder. Right. So I responded with, thunderbolts and lightning, very, very frightening. Classic response. I approve. Right? But she didn't get it. Uh-huh. She didn't know where it was from. People these days, I replied, and Alex almost jumped out of his skin. Exactly! How do you tie your shoes in the morning without knowing that song? How do you function as a normal person in society without knowing that song? Seriously, how does someone like that live with themselves, Karen? I don't know, and that's not my name. Maybe she's just too young. Well, that's no excuse, Alex growled. Just try and go for some kid who doesn't still get candy after every doctor visit. But I want to date a kid. All right, I'm calling the police, I replied, and Alex snorted. Not like that, you clown. I don't care what her age is. She could be 20 or 60 as long as she's still a kid. Not following. Alex sighed in response and seemed to gather his thoughts for a few seconds. I don't know what happened to everyone, Trist. And I don't know why it skipped me. Everyone got boring. Everyone got obsessed with appearances and status quos. It's more important to appear virtuous than actually helping. In our world, no good deed goes unpublished. Everyone is preoccupied with navigating social and corporate mazes, never asking what it's all for, never seeing that it's all bullshit. I feel like I'm stuck in this lifelong dress rehearsal and everybody is refusing to break character. We weren't always this way. We were all kids once, and didn't care what we wore or what others thought of us or what the latest gossip was. All we cared about was playing. Everybody lost that kid they once were. A kid who knows how to have fun and not take everything so seriously. I never lost that. And I feel so alone because of it. The world isn't just a big playground. We all had to grow up, I replied after processing. You didn't have to. He just chose to, Alex said and pouted. He did look like a kid, sitting back in his chair and pouting at not getting his way, albeit a kid with a stubble and a beer. The world isn't the way you want it to be, Alex. Well, then the world should change. Well, you definitely didn't lose the egocentricity of a child, that's for sure, I jabbed. It's not egocentricity. There's something wrong with the world. There's something wrong with us. Take romance, for example. Where's the romance? Alex exclaimed and gestured wildly. It took me a minute to realize how much he was slurring his words. How was he so drunk? He only had 2 beers. I looked at the small table in front of us to see that it was actually covered in empty beer bottles. Perhaps not. You're aware you're in a nightclub saying that, right? I'd say the most romantic thing going on here is happening in bathroom stalls 1, 3, and 6, I slurred. I slurred? How many beers have I had? Well, beer flies when you're having fun, I guess. I'm aware of where I am. Do you have any idea what I'd give to meet a girl at a park or a bookstore or at work? Do you even have a job? But people don't go to the park or bookstores to meet people. They come here. I have to play by your adult rules, when I'd rather have that primary school romance. Primary school romance? As in Your friend tells her friend that you like her, so you pass her a note asking her out, and she circles the yes on that note and passes it back, but you never really speak to each other, so your so-called relationship just fades away and you're not really sure if you're dating anymore, and you wonder what the point of it all was in the first place? I burped the last word. Not that part. The other part. I want to fall in love and feel like a kid again. I want to be terrified to hold a girl's hand because I don't know if she likes me back. I want to feel the butterflies in my stomach when I make her laugh because her laugh is just so beautiful, and I feel amazing because I'm the one that made her laugh like that, and all I know is that I want to spend the rest of the day trying to make her laugh because making her laugh is the only thing that makes me happy. I want to feel my heart thumping in my chest when I gather up all the courage in the world to finally lean in and kiss her and realize that this is the moment that truly matters. My blood would turn to ice as I leaned forward and instantaneously melt when my lips meet hers. The ground falls away beneath my feet because I could never have imagined that anything in the world could be as warm and as soft as her lips are. I keep kissing her, and there's only one thought running through my mind. Why in the hell would people ever stop kissing? I was not expecting that. You're talking about your first kiss? Yeah. That was my first kiss, he said and instantly pulled back. He looked down at the beer in his hand as if he forgot it was there and took a sip. Well, as adorable as your little speech was, a kiss is just a kiss. It's a moment and it will pass. If you spend your life with her, there's no guarantee that the magic won't fade. Well, first of all, a kiss is never just a kiss. A kiss is a physical act that speaks more emotionally than any word ever can, he explained matter-of-factly. Secondly, I don't believe that. I can't believe that. I think if you find the right person, then the magic will never fade. I'd smile every time she smiles. I'd laugh every time she laughs. And she would always be the most beautiful woman in the world to me. And we'd never let ourselves become one of those boring couples. Those boring couples? Yes, couples get old very quick. It's disgusting. I'll never grow up. And I won't allow her to either. Our wedding is going to be the least serious event of the century. I'm wearing a tutu. Our cake will be an ice cream cake with cartoon faces on it. Our grandmas will be the flower girls and beer pong at the recital. Sounds like you've been planning this ever since you were a little girl. Yeah, I have, he replied and finished his beer. I mean, it's not like I would have before, but if there was any doubt, there is none now. I will never marry you, Alex. Shh, don't jinx it. Damn it, Mary, you've jinxed it. Now we're gonna get married. Mary? Really? Look, you'll grow out of it. One of these days, you'll be just as much of a pessimistic, nihilistic bastard as the rest of us in adult world. Never! He shouted at the top of his lungs, though I don't think the table next to us heard. I forgot just how loud the music was. We've been speaking comfortably for a while now. Once you get used to the music, it just becomes background noise. Like rain. Or Alex's voice. The same damn words I've been hearing my entire life. You'll grow out of it, they said when I was 12. You'll grow out of it, they said when I was 18. You'll grow out of it, they said when I was 25. They'll still be saying it when I'm 50. Hey, I'll just write it on my tombstone. Here lies Alex. He'll grow out of it, we swear. I don't want to grow out of it. I don't want to be anyone that isn't who I am right now. I want to stay this way, believe in Santa, gawk at the rainbow, watch children's movies and genuinely enjoy them. Laugh at my own jokes when I'm alone. It's awesome being me, but it's lonely as hell. I feel like a 12-year-old trapped in a man's body. You look like a 12-year-old trapped in a 12-year-old's body. Point taken, I won't shave my beard again. All I'm trying to say is that I'm still a kid. I will always be a kid. I just want another kid to grow old with. Well then, I was wrong. You should definitely go for that girl who hasn't had her first period yet. Alex chuckled and shook his head, more out of exhaustion than anything. You're impossible. You know that? I'm sorry. Maybe I took it too far. I understand what you're saying. Many still have that kid inside them, but everyone slaps on a layer of pretend to reach some sort of middle ground with the rest of society. And perhaps some take it too far, and the pretend becomes the goal, and we lose sight of what really matters. But for some of us, the pretend is all we have, so we need it. I really do admire your idealism. It's rather beautiful to see, if not for its scarcity alone. I just don't want to be around when your glass perspective gets smashed. The world doesn't ask permission to mess everything up. It just does. I hope to whatever gods may be that it doesn't happen to you, that you're one of the lucky ones, that you might make it out unscathed. But that's just not the world I know. Thank you. Sincerely, that means a lot, Alex whispered, and I heard every word. Which meant that the music died down. I looked around and realized that the music had stopped and staff were piling up tables. How long have we been talking? I wanted to ask Alex, but he was looking at me. Really looking at me. His eyes were staring deep into mine, not wandering for once. And I realized what a rare, honest moment we just shared. Does this mean you're gonna start calling me by my real name? Nope. Thank you. Tonight was nice, I said as I walked up to my front door. Alex looked around suspiciously, then regarded me as if I was an alien. No hint of sarcasm? No scolding? No inner abyss subtly bleeding through a malevolent tongue? By gods! She might actually be human! She's human, people! Alex shouted. Shut up, you'll wake up the neighbors, I said while rubbing my eyes. I'm just too tired to do the mean thing. It was a long night. I'm going to pass out for the first time in a long while, and not because of alcohol for once. I was trying to put the key in the door when my forehead hit the door frame. Okay, maybe a bit because of alcohol. Good night, Alex. Hey. What? I turned around as Alex stepped up to me. You look better. You actually look quite pretty, he whispered. I was stunned to silence for a moment by the sudden display of sincere sanity. I don't care what you say, I'm not wearing this dress again, I eventually replied. He laughed. Not the dress, you egg. He called me an egg. If I had the energy, I would have gone on an hour-long rant about how stupid that insult was. But in my exhausted state, all I could come up with was how eggs are healthy and full of protein, which was the lamest comeback anybody has ever thought of. It's you, he continued. You look different. You have some color back in your skin. Some twinkle in your eyes. Some honesty in your smile, when you dare to show it. It's good to see you again. I miss you. Alex promptly spun on his heel and walked away. I was left to watch him drive off in stunned silence. End of chapter 4.